All right, Gravenberch and Konate are fit to start the Liverpool game against Man United on Sunday. This is obviously going to be really, really good for the squad cohesion. I was being a bit concerned, to be honest. Gravenberch coming off with a little bit of a hamstring for the Netherlands. Konate getting repealed out of the France squad. Everyone thinking that he's injured, especially after the Chelsea game where he was kind of limping off as well. Everyone a bit concerned about the injury starting to stack up, me included. But I think looking like Gravenberch and Konate are fit to start is going to be pretty good. Obviously, Konate not been in the best form recently, but obviously he's probably going to have to play his way back into form. I think the whole team in general just looking a little bit out of sorts. And I think Slot, as time goes on and he beds the new players in, as I've been saying, this is obviously going to improve. I think as the season goes on, everyone's going to be surprised by Liverpool starting to grow into this season. I think even though we did win the first 5-6 games before losing the last 3 in a row, I think we actually did get away with things quite a lot in those matches, and I think a lot of people will agree with that. And overall, I would say Liverpool at the minute definitely looking like they were getting away with things quite a lot in matches, but they also weren't that far off in the matches that they lost either. I think the Galatasaray game was an absolute joke, by the way. The referee, a complete moron, if I'm being completely honest. Totally ridiculous game. I mean, we spent about 11 minutes of the second half with the ball in play. The rest of the time was just their players throwing themselves on the floor. Overall, just a terrible, terrible match. I just basically discount that game entirely in my head because it was just a complete joke. The penalty was a complete joke. And overall, even in the Chelsea game, I thought that Liverpool looked much improved in many ways. Szoboszlai being back in the midfield, that McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai midfield, very, very good. They made a few mistakes. I think McAllister still looked not as fit as he could be, still looked a bit out of sorts as well, or maybe just out of form. But obviously bagging a few goals for Argentina. Gakpo's bagged a goal for the Netherlands. Szoboszlai and Kerkez both looked really good for Hungary against Portugal. Did Szoboszlai score for Hungary? I think he did. It was a late winner, wasn't it? Because he was knee sliding and all that good stuff. But I think those two look really good. Bradley obviously looked really good for Ireland as well. So overall, lots and lots of good performances in the international break for players. And the most important thing, which is I said, we come back with no injuries. I don't think we've got any injuries as far as I can think of. And also, we've got Isak playing 90 minutes for Sweden, even though they obviously did really poorly. I think they gave him absolutely no service, to be honest. Him and Gyökeres playing together clearly just doesn't work. But obviously, we've also seen Slot coming out and saying Isak's finally getting back up to fitness now. He's finally had about 5 or 6 weeks of getting back up to fitness, so he should be finally getting back to that kind of player that we saw at Newcastle that we wanted to buy. Obviously, he's been struggling a little bit with fitness and with form. Coming back into the side, obviously Liverpool are a top team. Salah's also bang out of form, but he also got a few goals against Djibouti. Hopefully that lift of Egypt qualifying for the World Cup can also help with him. But overall, I think the lack of injuries for Liverpool, Slot's going to have a perfect crop of players to pick from. Wirtz also looked really good for Germany, by the way. The amount of times where he'll just create chances and people won't score them is just absolutely maddening. He should have probably about 5 or 10 assists this season for Liverpool, probably already. The amount of times that he's given the ball to people in good areas and they've wasted their chances. Obviously, I think a lot of the team are going to come good as time goes on. And Liverpool, I think, are going to be absolutely fine this season. Got a bunch of really good new players, and it's just going to take a bit of time to get the best out of them and to adapt the team, because Slot is going to have to adapt his playing style a little bit to accommodate the players. I think Kerkez definitely deserves to be playing with much more freedom, flying up that left-hand side. He's much more of a buccaneering, swashbuckling kind of left-back than perhaps he's being allowed to play as. Obviously, his defending is okay. I wouldn't say he's a world-class defender, but he's definitely just a very impactful, almost wing-back type situation. Very similar to what Frimpong looks like as well. I mean, for Hungary, Kerkez looks absolutely unplayable at times. Some of the crosses he puts in are absolutely amazing. Szoboszlai looks incredible in every position he plays in. As far as I'm concerned, he can play anywhere. Playing his left wing, he looked really good for Hungary, didn't he? Which is interesting. But overall, I think we're going to be fine. I'm really glad that we've got no injuries. Gravenberch and Konate, obviously big, important players for Liverpool. Konate's been bang out of form this season for most of the time. Looks a bit distracted. But I think he really just needs to lock in, play his way through this period. Man United, obviously always a tough game. I think it's always a bit of a leveler playing against Man United, even in the kind of weird, sorry state that they've been in the past few years. They've still given us a good game, especially on some of those days the game from last season where it was 2-2. They definitely gave us a pretty decent game, even though Alexander-Arnold was already in Real Madrid in terms of his concentration at that point for the first goal in that game. But overall, I think we're going to be fine. Man U are going to be a good test, but I would expect us to beat them and get back to winning ways. Got tons of good players. I would be expecting Isak to probably start bagging some goals now. Ekitike always looks good, to be honest. We've got tons and tons of good players. Hopefully Slot can start figuring it out, getting the best out of everybody. But I'm really glad that Gravenberch is fit. I think he's absolutely essential for this Liverpool team. There's no one like him that can replace him. I don't want to hear it saying that people think that Curtis Jones can play the same as Gravenberch, because he just can't. He's definitely a different profile of player for me. Gravenberch, the way that he can receive the ball, run through the lines, do that turn where he lets the ball run across him and break out of the press. All those things will be absolutely essential, because Man United are going to try and get up against us. They're going to be trying to, I think they're probably going to be trying to press quite high. And I think we need to be trying to take advantage of them in terms of getting in behind them. And also we need to see Salah getting back into form, don't we? Because honestly, Salah loves a goal against Man United, so there wouldn't be any better place really than playing against Man United to bag a goal. Hopefully we can start seeing the best out of all of our players, but overall I think we're going to be totally fine. I'm glad we managed to make it through the international phase with no injuries, and hopefully we can get towards Christmas with not too many serious injuries for our first team. I think as the season goes on, as I said, once we start playing more football, bedding these new players in, they're all going to start to settle and improve, start to work on those relationships. The Salah-Isak relationship, really important. Also that Wirtz-Ekitike relationship looks interesting. But I think we need to figure out who are the best players playing in the right positions. I think Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch need to be the midfield three for me. And then whatever that means for the rest of the players, it's obviously going to come down to what Slot does. But ultimately, we've got tons of good players and I think he's going to do the right thing. We're going to improve as they start to settle as the season goes on. And it's going to be interesting to see how we do against United. It's going to be fascinating. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Do you think that we're going to beat United? Do you think that we're going to come out unscathed with injuries going towards Christmas? I think we've got a big, busy period now. Champions League qualification rounds going on as well. It's going to be really interesting. So, as always, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Check back every day for another video. And I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.